Hey, hi, hello, and welcome into tonight's live, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are having a great week. You're almost to the end of it, almost to the end of the work week. So, if you guys are having a good work week, hopefully, you guys are having a good work week. If you are, hit the like button. If you're not having a good work week, hit the like button as well. I don't know. Hit it either way. But my name is Tanya. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome to the channel. We do talk true crime here daily. That's something that we do. If that's something that you're into, maybe you'll want to subscribe by the end of it. But how's everybody doing today? Tonight. Welcome in, Catherine. Welcome in, Ladybug. It's good to see you guys. Wasting Idaho tax dollars. Yes, he still is. Hey, Jill. Hey, Mary Beth. I was going to say something about Bryan Kohberger, and yeah, they were talking about. We'll get into more, but actually, I'll just wait. I'll wait, and I'll tell you guys. But DM, welcome in, everybody. Catherine with the K, Catherine with the C's here. Texas Jewish Dog Mom. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. Hey, Frenchie. Hey, Sailor. Hey, Therese. Welcome in, West Virginia Holly Girl. Well, welcome in. Hello, everybody. Hello, Chosen. Glowbug, we got the whole crew in here. Tammy's in here. We got the whole crew kind of coming in. Well, welcome in. Hey, Jean. But yeah, like I said, if you are new to the channel, my name is Tanya or Titanium Built. You can call me either or, and we do talk true crime here. So we're going to be covering Idaho 4 today. I was going to read out the documents. That's what I thought I was going to have to do. I thought I was going to read all 300 pages of these. But when I went to look at the document, I was like, oh, this isn't half as it's not as bad as I thought. Most of it is like press releases from, when Moscow PD had the case, when it was like local and before it was into like, the criminal courts, they had all of the information on the Moscow PD police department website. And so that's where we would go to get our like daily fix or whatever, Idaho 4 content. And I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed, this was a while back, probably within like, I would say like a year, they had deleted all of their Idaho 4, like all of their like 1122 King Road. It was completely just gone off of the Moscow Police Department website. So I thought it was forever gone, those press releases, but they're not. They were saved. So they put those in the memorandum. So basically, just a few days ago, the defense put out a memorandum, the defense for Bryan Kohberger, of course. They put out a 319-page, I believe, 319-page memorandum explaining and detailing why they think that the trial should be taken out of Latah County and put into Boise, and taken and put in there. So they think that they have a good case to where, the judge might approve it. Personally, I don't see them taking it out of Latah County. That's just me. But I mean, but they could. They definitely could. We've seen, I'm sure we've seen stranger things. Oh, I know. Sarah Boone, too, another one. She had her hearing that. I didn't hear the first half. I heard the second half, and I was like, I was glued. I was like, oh man, she's. Can I get? She was just. Oh my lord, Sarah Boone is. I mean, if you guys don't know that about that case, we got a playlist. Get caught up because it's going to be a show. That one's going to be a show. Yeah. You want me to see if they will? Yeah. You want me to do a poll, see if they'll do a change of venue? Yeah, we could do that. Let me do the poll real quick so I don't forget. That would be good with it. I always forget to remind me to close the poll. That's what I always forget to do. I always forget. And then at the end, I'm like, oh man, do you think I'll put for Bryan. I'll put for Kohberger. I'll put the whole name. And then I'm going to put add option. I'm going to put yes, but just over to the school. Like from the jail to the school, you know how they wanted to put it over there. So that'll be like the third option. So let me pull up like this article I was reading over before the live. and that'll help me get out what I want to get out to you guys a little better. But basically, the lawyers for Idaho, murder suspect Bryan Kohberger, they want the trial moved to Boise, citing inflammatory coverage. They cited a lot of things. They had different like percentages of, from their surveys that they took that they were allowed to do. And the numbers were, I guess they were kind of high, but I mean, I think if you were to put this case in any setting though, like if you were to take that and put it into, where I live, I think that you would get almost the same results. I think that this is just a huge case, and I don't think it really matters where the case is located, or the trial is housed. I think that it's going to bring a lot of publicity for that town. It's going to bring a lot of people. Now, I don't know if they even have enough room for all those people I could bring, because weren't the hotels already booked once? And then nobody got to go. That was for when they were going to do the preliminary. And welcome in, everybody. Miss Cheryl's came in, and Queen Olive. I don't know if I said hi to Queen Olive. Hey, Heather. Welcome in. I don't know if I said hi to Linda either. Lenora, welcome in, everyone. So, lawyers for the man accused of fatally stabbing 4 University of Idaho students are urging a judge to move his murder trial away from the county, arguing the intense media coverage and public interest in the case make it impossible for him to get a fair trial. The request marked the latest legal turn more than 20 months after the quadruple murder case made international headlines. And right there it says international headlines. Hey, Ashley. The prolific media coverage in Latah County is not a mere passing story, Ann Taylor, a public defender for Bryan Kohberger, said in a change of venue motion made public Tuesday. I guess that town would be, they would all be talking about it in their little, mom and pop little shops, I guess it would be. But the content is not benign. Rather, it is inflammatory, emotion-evoking, and often misleading, false, and poorly sourced. There is no reasonable belief that the media coverage will slow, regardless of how long the case takes to prepare for trial. It's slowed. It has slowed. Now, it hasn't come to a full stop, Ann Taylor. I'll give you that. But it has slowed an awful lot. In order to protect Kohberger's constitutional right to a fair trial, it should be moved to Boise, she said. And I think, what is it, like a few hundred miles, I think is the difference between the two, Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson said he opposes moving the trial. Actually, yeah, wait a minute. Where is Boise? Compared to Latah, county, we're going to see. Let's go. Directions to Boise. That's not fair. Okay, I was just thinking of this. 5 hours, 42 minutes. Hold on a second, Kohberg. You don't have anybody over here. You know what I mean? So no one needs to be making any special arrangements for you. But we have 4 kids that have been killed, and that means 4 families are going to have to travel 5 hours one way for come on, that's just unreasonable. That's unreasonable. Put that on the families. You know what I mean? Because what if the families can't? What if they couldn't afford it to be housed or something, and then they didn't get to see their kid's trial? I don't know. I don't know about that, y'all. That's pretty far. That's pretty far. And these are families that have to be traveling for this. Bryan Kohberger don't have, no offense to Bryan Kohberger, but they're in Pennsylvania. I'm closer to him than his family is right now. And I'm only in Ohio. So here it says, Latah County Bill Thompson said that he opposes moving the trial. I bet he does. He has argued that the case has received national, international attention. So taking it away out of the county would not affect a potential juror's familiarity with the case. The 2 sides are scheduled to argue their positions at an August 29th hearing. I have a question. I don't know the answer to this question. Maybe one of you guys will. If they move okay, so if Bill Thompson's done all this work, right? He's done all this work to get this case together. If they were to move this to Boise, would he be able to be moved with the case? Or would he have to just stay in Latah County? Because then, like, who would proceed over the trials there? I was wondering if he would be able to go, like, as well. Like, you know. Hey, Badger Witness. Welcome in, everyone I'm missing. I probably missed some people and baby girl. Hey, Ray. Hey, Lois Cox. Welcome in, everybody. Mr. Rosebud. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you guys know that. He moves too? He can move? Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah. Well, then, I mean, if that's what he probably don't want to leave. But I know that, I mean, I would just, I don't know. I would feel some type of way if I was an attorney, especially a prosecutor, and you really worked this case and you've done all this work and you have all of it ready to go to trial. And then you just aren't not there. Like, I don't know. That would just be weird. Yeah, I guess he could always go with them. It says August 29th will be the next hearing. Kohberger, a former what the heck did I say? I said that all backwards. A former criminal justice student at Washington State University in nearby Pullman, Washington, is charged with fatally stabbing 4 students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at a rental home near campus in Moscow, Idaho, sometime in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Kaylee's father, Steve Gonzalez, told 48 Hours last year, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation, saying she was trapped based on the way the bed was set up. Police arrested Kohberger 6 weeks later at his parents' home in Pennsylvania, where he was spending winter break. Investigators said they linked Kohberger to the crime scene using DNA found on a knife sheath at the scene, surveillance videos, and cell phone data. Kohberger has maintained his innocence. His defense lawyers have said in court documents that he was out driving alone the night of the killings, something he often did. Don't think you do that, buddy. His trial is tentatively set for June 2025. It will be up to Judge John C. Judge to decide whether it remains in Moscow with a population of 41,000 or moves 296 miles south to Boise with a population of 236,634. Latah County, Idaho is a small, tightly knit community. Based on survey results, it is a community with a prejudgment for conviction and death sentence, Taylor wrote. Some of the major employers in the community are people connected to law enforcement and the University of Idaho. Earlier this year, Taylor argued in court that prosecutors are withholding information from the defense team, claiming that Latah County prosecutors have not provided a full video that allegedly shows Kohberger's vehicle by the residence where the 4 students were killed. Taylor said that the defense has only received parts of the video, which is described in the probable cause affidavit that was used to arrest Kohberger, and said that video did not have sound. Okay. We don't need sound with the video if he's cruising on by. We don't need no sound. I think picture and a video could say a lot without sound. This banter has been going on for 17 months. Then once you get a hearing, you have a hearing about the decision that was made at the hearing before the last hearing, and there needs to be another hearing, the family said in a statement. Remember the Gonzalez? Yeah, I would have said it too. This case is turning into a hamster wheel of motions, hearings delayed, and delayed decisions. I think that's all they, all that was just I think their preview that they had from their last 48 hours. I think that we had that live. I think we played that live. Okay, so Nancy did what Nancy does. I was going to come on here and I was going to be reading through this stuff with you, which actually it's not a bad read. I mean, it's not that much. It's a lot less than I thought it was. Like 200 pages of it is old articles that we went over before. So I was like, oh, well, that just cuts out a lot of it. And then, a big chunk of it is the defense's, their witness, their star witness, whatever, their expert witness is Brian Edelman. And they have like his credentials and stuff in there as well. A lot of that kind of stuff. And then it just has like the survey results. And yeah, and Nancy will go over all those, I'm sure, with our podcast. If she doesn't go over the actual numbers, I'll go over the numbers whenever we're done, because I have them right in front of me. Let me switch this over. So basically, what we're going to hear tonight is Ann Taylor. It says, in a motion, Bryan Kohberger's attorney, Ann Taylor, argues that a change of venue is absolutely necessary for the accused quadruple murder to have a fair trial. Taylor cites inflammatory, emotional evoking, and often misleading, false, and poorly sourced media coverage that has utterly corrupted the Moscow community. Taylor reports that their survey has revealed 70% of locals have already formed a guilty opinion of Kohberger. Do you guys think that's a big, like a percentage, 70%? Now, if someone called you, now I don't know. Now maybe we need to do a poll on this. Who would be honest? Like, that's my first question. I think that when they called, they weren't allowed to tell them they're with the defense. They just said that they were doing a survey. But I don't know. I don't know how many people would actually be that truthful during the survey, or if they would just kind of like press any button just to get off the phone, something like that. Welcome in, everyone. It's good to see everybody. I was trying to read the chat. I'm reading this. So 70%. Taylor suggests that Kohberger's trial be moved to Ada County, home to state capital Boise, 296 miles from Moscow. Taylor argues that Ada County's population of over 500,000, how does that just change from 200,000 to 500,000? Did I exit out of that? I'll be damned if I did. I did. It just went, the numbers just switched. Wait, yeah, right here. It says Boise with a population with 236,634, right? And then I'm like so confused on live. Okay, they're just, I don't know. I'm getting confused. Where are we at? Okay, earlier, it will be up to the judge to decide. Sorry, I was reading the same spot. Latah County is small, tightly knit community based on survey results. It is a community with a prejudgment for conviction and death sentence. I already read this part. Sorry. Oh, you read all that. We're going back up. What is my brain just like shut off on me tonight? Literally shutting off on me. I'm like, what am I like? So Miss Nancy Grace is putting in a population for Ada County of over 500,000. I'm trying to find the county and do this at the same time. But and then the first article is saying that it was 236,634. So let's see what's the population. And then I'll put it on Nancy. Let's find a third option. If you don't like either of those two. See, this one's right. Okay, so the article, I don't know. The article is right. And Nancy's little description is wrong. It says Kohberger's best chance at receiving an impartial jury. Taylor also touches on the logistics Ada County provides, including larger courtrooms and easy access to the state's largest airport. For who? Kohberger's family? We don't care about no damn airport. What do you mean? We don't need an airport. Everybody lives within driving distance. I wonder how the family would think too. Taylor also touches on the logistics. Large courtrooms, easy access, state largest airport. Despite Taylor's push to move Kohberger's trial to Ada County, it's ultimately up to the judge to decide if a change of venue is appropriate and where the trial should move. Taylor could wind up with a much more conservative jury than would have been found in the college town where the crimes took place. Sorry, I should have blew this up so I could see it better. Elmore County is home to the Mountain Home Air Force Base, and Ada County actually encompasses Gowen Field, and Idaho National Guard Base. Prosecutors have until August 12th to challenge the change of venue motion. Defense attorneys will then have a chance to submit another rebuttal. Both sides will make their arguments in front of the judge on August 29th, and Taylor plans to call 4 witnesses, including trial consultant Bryan Edelman, who was allowed to complete his survey process. Judge will decide if and where the case will move and whether or not he will go with it. Oh, see, the judge can go too. Okay, I'm learning. We're learning today together. We're learning today together because I didn't know that. Judge will decide if and where the case will move and whether or not he will go with it. In the case that the judge withdraws, the Supreme Court will choose a new judge to preside over the case. How about that? So judge can go, prosecutor can go. Okay, everyone can go. And this is the writing I was reading. That's why it's like so tiny. It might not be tiny to you guys. It was really tiny to me though. I was like, I could barely read that. Let me go ahead and put up an overlay, and well, I'll go ahead and press play. But yeah, that's weird that it said like 2 different populations. The population was different, 2 different places. Don't confuse me like that. And I'll check the let's check the poll while we're sitting here for a second. Do you think that they will change the venue for Bryan Kohberger? 58% of you guys are saying yes, 33% are saying no, and then 9% are saying yes, but just over to the school. And I'm going to say yeah, but just over to the school. I don't know. I think they'll keep it there. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, I think there's some commercials in the beginning. I had to fast forward through. Let me make sure though.
Nicotine satisfaction.
What if I told you you can ease the way that you look and feel.com? Call 560.
Nancy Grace. This is Bryan Kohberger's death penalty showdown, demanding in court his trial be moved to liberal Boise. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Bryan Kohberger's defense files for a trial venue change, citing extensive ongoing and inflammatory publicity. Will the motion be successful?
Okay, he wants to move to liberal Boise. Well, it's my understanding that Boise repeatedly votes in a conservative manner. So what's liberal about Boise? Well, first of all, listen to this.
Our defense team firmly, and I mean firmly, believes in Mr. Kohberger's innocence. And right now he's being held to have a trial in a county that believes that he is guilty. If you deny a change of venue, Mr. Kohberger's constitutional right to a fair trial is denied.
Demanding a change of venue. Hold on just a moment. Before we get into the legalities of Bryan Kohberger demanding a change of venue in a death penalty showdown, straight out to Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University.
Do you think they would care if this wasn't an electoral year? This was, I mean, what does that have anything to do with it?
Author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, host of a hit series, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. I could go on. But Joe Scott Morgan, you had a really interesting insight about moving the trial to Boise. Everybody may wonder, why am I asking a forensics expert a legal question? But hold your horses. Joe Scott, jump in.
Yeah, all the forensic pathologist has to do is grab their car keys and drive right down the street, or maybe even walk across the street, because that's where the autopsies were actually done on the 4 victims. And so it's not going to be a real heavy lift for them, and have them there. And just imagine that just for a second, Nancy. This idea that they're going to move this venue there where these 4 beautiful children were actually examined after the brutality that they sustained allegedly at Kohberger's hands.
Howard Bloom joining us. You probably know him very well by now, all of you legal eagles, because I sure do. I felt like I knew him before I ever actually met him on air, because he's the author of When the Night Comes Falling, a requiem for the Idaho student murders.
We knew she would get him back on here. And we did read that book. If you'd like to listen to that, I do have that available on my playlist. I read it to y'all.
You can find him at howardbloom.com. That's spelled B-L-U-M. Howard, what do you make of the change of venue motion?
I think it's a very cynical move by the defense. What they're trying to do ultimately is buy time, whether the trial takes place in Moscow, where it should take place, where the community needs to have its literally wounds healed, or it takes place in Boise, is not going to make a difference to the verdict. Whether the forensic examiners can get there quicker, or they have to drive several hours to get there, that doesn't make a difference. It's all going to come down to the evidence.
Well,
no, it
one
does
thing
make
about
a difference.
when you have the medical examiner sitting right
6 hours. It's not a couple hours, buddy.
across the street, there may be a certain familiarity amongst the population with that medical examiner. I know who our medical examiner is, but I want you to listen very carefully to what Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, says one more time.
Our defense team firmly, and I mean firmly, believes in Mr. Kohberger's innocence. And right now he's being held to have a trial in a county that believes that he is guilty. If you deny a change of venue, Mr. Kohberger's constitutional right to a fair trial is denied.
She believes that firmly. Okay, what does the prosecution say? Listen.
We at least owe Latah County, the people of Latah County, the attempt to seat a jury here first. And not just rely on, there's been a lot of publicity. There's been a lot of publicity. It's not Moscow. It's not Latah County. It's everywhere. So I don't think that a change of venue is going to solve any of these problems. And the state's position on venue is that the case should be held here. It's a Latah County case. We believe that we can select an appropriate panel of jurors from Latah County.
And believe it or not, cult mom Lori Vallow, and I believe her 4th husband, the prophet Chad Daybell, have somehow reared their ugly heads in the middle of the Kohberger prosecution. Listen.
Experts believe the judge will have a hard time denying the change of venue due to both extreme public interest in the case and tight connections in Moscow to both law enforcement and the University of Idaho. The recent decisions to move both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's cases from Fremont to Ada County due to publicity may further push the judge to side with Taylor and approve the change of venue.
Straight out to high-profile lawyer in this jurisdiction. She practices in both Idaho and Utah. Stephanie Pitcher from Parker McConkel Law Firm. Stephanie, who, important for my purposes, former felony prosecutor. Stephanie, they always ask for a change of venue. I'm not surprised, but given Boise's track record, I mean, when you don't know a horse, look at the track record. Why do they want to move to Boise? Do you believe it's because they think they'll get a better shot at a liberal jury pool? When I say liberal, I'm not talking about who you're going to vote for. I'm talking about how you view the system. Like, for instance, Stephanie, no way would I put somebody on the jury that didn't have a job, or that had not had a job, or was not retired. If I had a stay-at-home mom, usually they wanted to get off the jury pool because they were worried sick about their child. But if I had one, I wanted one that had worked before. Why? Because they have a sense of duty. They show up on time. They do their job. I don't want somebody that sits at home watching cartoons all day, eating Pop-Tarts. Not interested. I don't want anybody that's had a run-in with police before, that has been prosecuted, convicted, or has a dear loved one that has been prosecuted or convicted. I mean, there's a lot that goes into picking a jury. So what is their hope? What are they up to, Stephanie?
Sure, yeah. And I'll add, it's not just how someone sees the system, but it may also be how these individuals view the death penalty. And I certainly think that has something to do with their thinking. But ultimately, I think what the defense is hoping for is a larger jury pool, a larger community of people to pull from in order to potentially seat a jury. And all of those things are going to come out in voir dire if individual has been previously convicted, if they have a relationship with law enforcement. And so the defense is hoping that they have a larger pool of people to pull from in order to try to seat a fair and impartial jury.
You mean the defense wants a larger pool of deadbeats to put on the jury? I hear you loud and clear, Stephanie Pitcher. Joining me, and you may wonder, first it was Joe Scott Morgan. Now she's asking renowned psychiatrist about jury selection. Yes, I am, and I'll tell you why. With me, Dr. Angela Arnold, renowned psychiatrist, joining us out of the Atlanta jurisdiction at Angela Arnold, MD. There's no way I'm suggesting you can judge a book by its cover, because I know a lot better than that. But we have a limited time in voir dire. We can't find out everything about everybody. We have to trust our gut. We have to look at what we know about that person, which is precious little, before we put them in the box, the jury box. So if I have some woman coming in with her military outfit on, and I know that she's made it up to let's just say lieutenant, I know she shows up, she focuses, she does her job, she's used to reaching a decision, up against some long-haired deadbeat, doesn't have a job, hasn't had a job, smells like cigarette smoke, looks stoned. Yeah, I'm picking her.
Well, and also, Nancy, the person that you described is also more used to speaking to other people and listening to other people's opinions and developing an opinion based on the evidence that's presented. If someone is chosen from the jury pool that, as you said, sits in front of the TV all day, doesn't really have a lot of interaction with other people in the community, then they are not accustomed to talking to other people and coming up with a decision. Okay, they don't know how to interact and listen to other people's opinions and form a decision on their own. I think that would be a major problem, and that's why we fill out those forms before we go to a jury, to see what our background is, because that's what they're looking for. People that are out there every day that can actually come together and form a decision.
Well, another thing is, and I know I'm going to be attacked online by throwing out stereotypes. Believe me, I put on plenty of people on the jury with long hair that looked scraggly, but I liked what they said in voir dire, which coincidentally means to speak the truth. I felt that I connected with them. There was something about them, something that they said that made me think that's the juror I want. Now, there, of course, is the time that I put a convicted bank robber on a bank robbery trial. Unbeknownst to me, I found out after I'd already struck the jury, and it was too late to have him thrown off. I had lost my opportunity. We got a conviction. But that said, again, you cannot judge a book by its cover. But maybe they're doing this, Stephanie Pitcher, a high-profile trial lawyer, because it's their best shot. Think about this. Okay, again, this is not about politics, which I hate politics. 50.4% went Trump, 46.5% went Biden in Boise. So it's pretty close. But interesting, 48.
Didn't Nancy just say we weren't making this political? Nancy, you just said a minute ago we weren't going to make this about who we voting for. Proceeds 5 minutes later to talk about who we're voting for. Lordy.
Nearly.
Hey, at least I caught it.
49,000 Democrats, 106,000 Republicans. Does that tell me much? Actually, no. Because your views on crime very often do not mesh with your views on politics. But maybe they're thinking, Stephanie, hey, Yes, it's conservative in Boise, but it's more liberal than it is where the murders occurred in Moscow.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I definitely think that's part of the consideration for them.
Hey, I'm Christine. You're a smoker looking for Zen Fits.
Introducing 1-888 free.
Oh, it is. Guys, we also have to deal with the fight against the death penalty. In this particular jurisdiction of Idaho, it is extremely rare for a death penalty sentence to be handed down. As a matter of fact, veteran trial lawyers will tell you if the state is seeking the death penalty, it may thwart even getting a guilty conviction. Listen.
The death penalty is extremely rare in Idaho, and it is carried out even more rarely. There have only been 3 successful executions in the state since the federal government lifted a ban on capital punishment in 1976. Those sentenced to death are automatically granted a post-conviction review and an appeal opportunity. Their cases often go before the Supreme Court to confirm the capital punishment.
I don't know why they said it like that. Like that they were, they followed through with them, or they were completed or something. Well, yeah, I mean, are successful. Well, obviously, I mean, I don't think that none of them would have been unsuccessful.
Right now, legal battle being waged in the courtroom. First over change of venue to liberal Boise, their words, not mine, and the fight over the death penalty. Listen.
Kohberger's defense team has until September 7th to file their motion to strike the death penalty. Ann Taylor has frequently argued that the state is withholding evidence, and she may do so again in an attempt to bar a death penalty sentence. The jury must be death penalty qualified and must find one aggravating circumstance exists in the 4 victims' deaths. The jury must come to a unanimous decision to inflict the capital punishment.
What is an aggravating circumstance? It's a circumstance in death penalty cases that may or may not exist in other cases, such as the victim is a child, the victim is a senior, you killed a police officer, you killed a judge or a politician, you committed mass murder, in other words, more than one body. Your case was particularly heinous as it compares to other cases. You killed someone for a pecuniary or money interest. You lie in wait, which shows cold blood. Or you committed a murder in the commission of another felony, such as rape, armed robbery. Those are a few aggravating circumstances that are recognized across the country by DP death penalty states. To Chris McDonough joining me, director at the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective with over 300 homicide investigations under his belt. I found him where he's the host of a YouTube channel, The Interview Room.
Does Chris McDonough, does he count like the cases he follows on his YouTube page? Does he count them in his 300? I'm just curious. I'm gonna start naming. I'm gonna keep count
on this case. Chris McDonough, after you have given your blood, sweat, and tears, literally, on a homicide investigation, how does it feel to sit back and watch the lawyers go at it in the courtroom over change of venue or arguing against the death penalty in a death penalty state? How does that make law enforcement feel?
Nancy, at times it can be very frustrating. But then the other side of the coin is if the defense is completely off the rails. I mean, moving to Boise, they obviously haven't done their homework yet, because that in the law enforcement community is called the blue dot. And what I mean by that, there are so many retired law enforcement officers living in that jurisdiction. Good luck getting, an impartial jury. So when you start hearing stuff like that, you kind of get a little hope that the defense is really headed in the wrong direction.
I've never heard that phrase before, the description, the blue dot. Of course, Chris McDonough, one of the first questions the defense is going to ask is, are any of you or anyone close to you in law enforcement? Have you ever heard that question asked during voir dire?
Absolutely. In fact, I used to tell all my friends, tell them you know me. and you'll get out of jury duty.
Gee, I've never said anything like that. But that said, what more do we know about the death penalty in Idaho? We know it's extremely rare.
They never use it.
We know that it is conducted.
The last guy that was on there was on death row for like 40 years before it was even taken, before it was even carried out. So Kohberger can have a long life living 23 hours a day in a cell by himself for the next 40 years.
With the needle. We know that if the drugs for execution by lethal injection, which is the needle, are not obtained, you don't have the drugs to make that work, which there's a shortage, by the way. The alternative is firing squad. To Joe Scott Morgan.
Not anymore. They're putting you to sleep now. Like just like if you were to go into the hospital and get put under for a surgery.
Tell me about the drugs necessary to perform a death penalty execution by lethal injection.
Yeah, well, in Idaho,
if they're doing that, like they're seriously putting you up to some stuff and you're breathing it in and then you're dying, that's the way to go out. What do you mean? You know?
they actually use phenobarbital, which has traditionally been used as an anti-seizure medication, but it has lethal effects when given in the proper dosages. And when they talk about these cocktails, what they're saying is, and this goes to this idea of cruel and unusual, they will give the individual kind of a sedative beforehand. It's like a precursor to anesthesia that'll kind of put them in this relaxed state where they're kind of in a dreamlike state.
So they give them a Valium. Okay.
And then they'll push the phenobarb at that point in time. And, you hear these accounts with people that are in the death chamber or the reporters that are on the side of the glass, and they're saying, well, he began to labor in breathing, this sort of thing. We could hear it, and he started snoring. You hear that a lot. And then all of a sudden they go to sleep at that point in time, and it's almost in a comatose state until their heart stops.
Joe Scott, are you telling me they basically fall asleep?
Yeah, to a certain degree. Just anybody that's ever under.
Yeah. It's exactly what Joe Scott's telling us, Nancy. I mean, if you think about it, y'all, I know people out there that have cancers, that have diseases that they would, family members that have gone out in horrific ways, that they would have, that would have been a blessing,
They're going surgery, where you have that kind of dark, moment to kind of.
Oh my gosh, give it another 10 years and people, they'll be planning out their own funerals from behind bars. They'll be having the whole thing going on.
Washes over you where you have no memory of it.
No, that has never happened to me, Joe Scott Morgan. I say, this is not going to work, but okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I say, well, aren't we starting? And it's over. That's what happens to me. There's no in between.
That's terrifying.
So you're saying that with the lethal cocktail, lethal injection, the defendant will basically fall asleep. Could you, and I'm going to follow this up with Howard Bloom and Chris McDonough, could you just tell me, could you give me the dichotomy, the comparison to what these 4 young students went through? And Joe Scott, my children are looking at colleges right now. And every time I think about this case, I think about in 2 years, they would be where these 4 beautiful students were. In school, happy, pursuing their dreams, their lives before them. What happened to them, Joe Scott? They didn't just fall asleep and never wake up.
No, the dichotomy is, I think, probably an understatement. It's a harsh reality. This is a brutal event that took place, Nancy. And even as a college professor now at this stage in my life, I've had a hard time getting past those events because my town where I teach is very similar to Moscow. And so I I view these students, and it's hard for me not to reflect on this, but it was the height of brutality that all of these kids went through, and compared to what might happen in the event that a death penalty is rendered here, and that they would eventually ever follow through with it. It's very, very merciful compared to what these kids went through, Nancy.
And that would be?
Well, you're talking about multiple sharp force injuries with these kids, to what we understand at this point. One of the things I've always reflected on, Nancy, is that with sharp force injuries, one of the things that occurs is that our pain centers fire. Just imagine, if you will, that every time that edged weapon touches the surface of the skin and breaks it, there is another moment in time where that pain center fires, and you've got multiple of these firing all over. Not to mention the hopelessness that you have, that you're going to be able to escape this. You can actually feel the warmth of your blood beginning to leach out onto your skin. Your breathing becomes labored, but all the while you're trying to fight at a primal level. This is one of the most horrific deaths anybody can experience. I've worked a lot of sharp force injury deaths over the course of my career, and they are by far, and I even compare this to like shotgun wounds. They are by far the most brutal. I cannot begin. And listen, I know why. Bringing us back to the jury, I know why they want to try to escape the original site that this happened in. Because when the jury actually sees, Nancy, those images from the interior of this structure, and they see what was done to these kids, their mouth will open. They will be aghast at what they're seeing. They are not going to be able to take the measure of the brutality here.
Prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty for the accused Idaho student's murderer.
Battle is raging even as we are speaking. The death penalty is being warred over in a court of law, legal briefs firing back and forth. Private investigators for the defense, investigators for the prosecution, working day and night. Why? To beat the Idaho death penalty. It is typically death by needle, which is lethal injection. If those particular drugs cannot be obtained, it will be death by firing squad. Again, DPs in Idaho are few and far between. Listen.
Danette Jean Elg reports to police she has a prowler. Days later, her mutilated body is found on her punctured waterbed. Danette suffers 15 stab wounds, but did manage to inflict injury on her attacker, Richard Albert Levitt. After killing Danette, Levitt removed her sexual organs, then goes to the emergency room for his own wounds. Levitt's blood at the scene becomes part of the evidence that convicts Levitt, and he is sentenced to death. Levitt spends nearly 30 years on death row before the sentence is carried out by lethal injection, June 12, 2012.
3 hot, set a cot. Daily bed changes with fresh linens, special meals. Okay. He had 30 years of that. Joe Scott Morgan, did I hear that correctly? That he, after killing Danette, he then cut out her sex organs?
Yes, that's what you heard. And the height of brutality there. And again, this goes to this idea that he languished on death row. And I think that a lot of people, might think, well, it's good that he languished, but this is not going to be a quick process. However you cut it, Nancy, it's just not going to be quick. They're going to sit there for a protracted period of time.
Languished, you mean got online girlfriends, was funneled money, gained notoriety. All right, if you call that languishing, I do not. But that is the ilk. That is the person that lands on the Idaho death row. But hold on, wait a minute. What about Paul Rhodes? Listen.
In 20 days, meth addict Paul Rhodes puts Idaho residents in a state of fear. February 28th, 21-year-old Stacy Baldwin is abducted while working at a convenience store in Blackfoot. On March 17th, Idaho Falls convenience store clerk, 23-year-old Nolan Haddon's body is found in the store's walk-in cooler. 2 days later, special education teacher Susan Nickelbacher is abducted in a parking lot.
Was that him that did that? I don't know.
Driven to a rural area, raped and shot 9 times. Rhodes is convicted and sentenced to death for the murders of Nickelbacher and Baldwin. More than 20 years later, Paul Ezra Rhodes is put to death by lethal injection.
Think about it.
I keep telling myself I'm right about something, then I'm like, oh, no, guess I'm not right. And then 2 seconds later, it says what I was saying to begin with. So don't mind me.
3-year-old Nolan Haddon is just working at a convenience store when he is ambushed by Rhodes. Then a special ed teacher, a beloved special ed teacher, Susan Mickelbacher, abducted in a parking lot. Textbook, driven to a rural area, brutally raped, and then shot 9 times. Okay, Paul Ezra Rhodes, of course, rotten hell. But then there's the poster boy for the Idaho death penalty. Listen.
Chad Daybell, now convicted and sentenced to death for the murders of his first wife, Tammy Daybell, and his second wife's 2 children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, may have a long wait on death row. Daybell has yet to be transferred to death row and is entitled to a post-conviction review and at least one appeal opportunity when his death warrant is signed. The appeal process typically goes on for years. The average length of stay before execution in Idaho is currently more than 27 years.
That's a long time for me to foot the bill for these people. When you think about Chad Daybell, we immediately think of little JJ and his teen sister Tylee, whose body was rendered down like an animal at a slaughterhouse to a bucket of skin and fat. Let me let that sink in for just a moment. But then there's his wife, Tammy Daybell, also murdered. Why? So he could sleep with cult mom Lori Vallow. His pickup line, hey, we were married in a previous life, so we might as well go to the motel now. Him, yes, him. Death penalty, Idaho. So what about this case? With those cases ringing in their ears, the defense team for Bryan Kohberger fighting tooth and nail to defeat the death penalty. But reality check, before we get bogged down again, no offense, Stephanie Pitcher, with the legalities of the death penalty, to Howard Bloom, author of When the Night Comes Falling, a new book chock full of research about the Bryan Kohberger murders, alleged murders. Howard, I would like you and Chris to explain what the victims went through before they bled out dead. Howard?
It was a extremely violent and brutal crime. Consider the suspect went into the 3rd floor bedroom and found Maddie. I believe she was awoken from sleep. Imagine being awakened from a deep sleep and then finding a man above you with a knife. He slaughters her. And then Kaylee, though, at this point is awake. She tries to escape. She goes to the back of the small room. She's wedged up against the bed. She has her hands up. She's fighting, her father has said, like a tiger. She succumbs to her wounds. The killer then walks down this narrow staircase. He goes onto the 2nd floor, and there is Ethan to confront him. They've heard the noise. They've heard the dog barking. Before Ethan can say anything, he's slashed in the neck with the knife. And then, most chillingly, the killer says to Zaina, "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you." But he does hurt her. She has defensive wounds. There's a knife wound right through her palm. She's really fighting for her life, but she quickly succumbs, and then the killer then begins to leave the house. It happens very quickly. It's very brutal, but imagine being anyone awakened from a deep sleep and being confronted by a man holding a knife.
Chris McDonough, again, director of Cold Case Foundation, but for my purposes, the star of YouTube channel Interview Room, former homicide detective, 300 plus homicide investigations under his belt. You know, you have been to so many homicide scenes, as has Joe Scott. Explain what these victims went through. When we're talking about a death penalty felon, basically falling to sleep and dying, what these 4 victims lived through is almost indescribable. The blood literally pouring down the sides of the house. Explain, Chris McDonough. You and I have been to the scene. Describe what happened to these 4 students.
Yeah, Nancy, you are 1,000% correct. I mean, if we think about the brutality of the horror that took place in that house, and to the point where they had to destroy the house, which I think is a mistake, but that aside, imagine, put yourself into let's go to the 3rd floor for a moment and put ourselves into that room. The 2 victims are sleeping. They are obviously attacked brutally. And that was what was taking place on both floors inside of that house, to the point where today he gets to sit back, to your point, and lean over to the defense counsel and say whatever he says. But those victims had no way of ever getting their say outside of the prosecution office now.
Every day, you're ready to make a switch. So
now and use code
beauty confident
1, 2, 3, but
location effect
at meaningfulbeauty.com.
If the judge grants a change of venue, will Bryan Kohberger face a more conservative jury? How would travel to a new location affect proceedings?
Another stumbling block for the state is going to be just how one person, Bryan Kohberger, managed to overcome not 1, 2, 3, but 4 victims. One thing I'd like to point out to you, Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, is that yes, according to the state, he murdered 4 people, but 2 of them were actually, all 4 of them were one at a time. His victims were asleep or going to sleep in the dark in their beds, unarmed, when he comes in. And of course, 2 of the victims were sleeping together, but he killed one as the other still lie in the bed, and then her. So it's not 1 against 4. That is a misconception. Every murder was 1-on-1. Explain, how did he pull it off? Because I've heard it over and over and over by talking heads. Say, how did he pull it off? 1 person kills 4. It wasn't like that. It was a series of 1-on-1s.
Yeah, he's got the element of surprise here. And you're talking about the college kids that are in this, I'm not going to say dreamlike state, but you know how it is when, and particularly if you've been out on the town, you have any alcohol in your system, you're laid back, you're relaxed, and all of a sudden some demonic force almost sets upon you. And so you have no idea what's happening at that moment in time. So for each one of these individuals, if you've got an individual that is completely sober, they're focused on what they're doing, and they show up with a weapon at the scene like this weapon, because it's unlike any other kind that's out there relative to a combat knife. It's very particular, and they know what they're doing. Then yeah, it's possible to pull it off one by one, and they're not going to put up much of a defense other than that initial strike where they're aware that they are being struck, but at that point in time, it's too late.
But to you, Chris McDonough joining us, former homicide detective, the defense is going to argue no blood in the car, No blood on his clothes or shoes found at the home. No murder weapon. So how did he pull it off, like Joe Scott Morgan just explained, but yet not have any bloody evidence?
Well, that's a great point, but there's no clothing discovered or recovered. There was some type of, blood evidence that was recovered at his apartment. We don't know. Remember, they did a search warrant over at his apartment, and I think it was on a pillow or a bed sheet of some sort, a comforter, where they had tested positive for blood. We don't know what the results of that tests are to this point. However, that may be problematic. Then, of course, we have the sheath, right, where we have this DNA match on that button, as Doc Morgan has pointed out numerous occasions, to that K-bar knife. So the fact that we don't have any, quote, physical evidence initially in terms of the information that we're provided doesn't mean it doesn't exist yet. And so I think the defense also has to be very careful when they go out and they start putting information like that out into the public arena, because it could come back to bite them.
Here's another issue. Let's go to Howard Bloom and Stephanie and Angela. Jump in for Pete's sake. But to you, Howard Bloom, it's not so much the evidence is deficient. What about the lack of certain other evidence? In other words, we know he ordered that K-bar knife and sheath because we have the Amazon record that he ordered it. And they probably have a search history trying to find just the right knife. We have the exact same sheath at the crime scene. So where's the knife? You know what? My husband, I know it's not romantic, gave me a butcher block of fancy knives. Okay. So why would I get rid of one of them? Why would one of them, other than my 92-year-old mother putting it down the disposal in the kitchen, other than that, why would I get rid of a knife? We've got the lack of that knife. What did he do with it and why? We know he ordered that Dickies, like a repairman's uniform. We have the receipt. We know he did it. Where is it? Why did he get rid of it? So the lack of certain evidence must be taken into account. But my question to you, redirecting, is a stumbling block. How did he do it? 1 against 4. And how did he get away with it? Where's the evidence?
What we're missing is specifics. But what you have to see is that all the pieces of the evidence, when they're merged together, form a very coherent whole. And in all the evidence that you've cited, there's one piece that you've left out. After he was arrested, they did a cheek swab of his DNA. This cheek swab taken directly from him matched the DNA taken from the button of the knife sheath. So all these specific pieces form what a coherent whole. And the defense will try to impugn, as you have said, the DNA. They'll try to impugn the telephone triangulations. But when it all comes together, the evidence, I feel, is overwhelming. And that's why they're so concerned about the death penalty. That's also why I believe they're trying to move the venue. Not that they think they'll get a better trial elsewhere in the state. They're trying to buy time. This is a very cynical strategy.
And another thing about Howard Bloom's book, When the Night Comes Falling, A Requiem for the Idaho Student Murders, he and I got a ton of hate mail online the last time he discussed his book. Let me tell you something. He didn't just make all that up. He sourced everything he wrote in that book. Now, if you disagree with him, fine. But this is not fiction that he wrote in When the Night Comes Falling.
There's an unarticulated premise in all of this. A lot of people from Hollywood came into the town of Moscow, a lot of other authors. There's a lot of money being thrown around. A lot of people were offered deals. I thought about giving money to people involved in the case, but as a New York Times reporter, ultimately, it didn't sit right with me. I just didn't want to roll that way. But now people feel that if I'm telling the story, they are losing their business opportunity.
Oh, so the genesis of some of your hate mail. Okay, Stephanie Pitcher.
Are you trying to say like the family members are mad?
Joining me, high-profile lawyer in this jurisdiction of Idaho and Utah, by the way, Stephanie. The import of what's missing. It's not just, okay, my mom stuck one of my brand new knives down the disposal in the kitchen. That knife didn't prove anything. The things that are missing out of Kohberger's apartment are probative. They prove something. So why are those things missing and nothing else is missing? Why the knife that he just bought on Amazon? Why is it missing? Why is the Dickies uniform that he just bought? We've got the receipt. Why is it missing? It's not like I'm missing one of his old notebooks from the 8th grade. That proves nothing. The items missing are probative, Stephanie.
Sure. I mean, I think that this was not a random attack or a random murder. He thought this out, and the evidence shows that. The evidence shows that he turned off his phone as he was driving, and as he approached the scene. I think he has taken several steps not only to plan this, but to also cover it up. And that's what the evidence, I think, suggests, at least what the public has.
Bryan Kohberger's defense files for a trial venue change, citing extensive ongoing and inflammatory publicity. Will the motion be successful?
Legal battle brewing as we go to air to Dr. Angela Arnold, psychiatrist out of the Atlanta jurisdiction. Dr. Angie, I find those missing pieces of evidence very probative to me. I mean, it could be argued, hey, where's the murder weapon? And my response is, hey, why did he throw away a brand new knife? Where did that go? Where did that brand new uniform go? And more. Explain the thinking behind that.
Nancy, it speaks to his state of mind through this, and it speaks to the fact that he knew what he was doing, and he knew that he had to get away with it. And he had, and as some of the previous guests have said, he planned this from start to finish. And his ultimate mistake was leaving that knife sheath at the scene, and that's what's going to get him. But this shows that he planned every ounce of this.
We wait as justice unfolds in the Bryan Kohberger prosecution. Nancy Grace signing off. Goodbye, friend.
Okie dokie. That was all of it. That actually went by kind of fast, faster than I thought. But no, I wanted to show you guys that because I figured they would go over the doc. I thought we were going to go over the documents a little bit more, but she really didn't go into the documents that much. But you're not missing out on anything. You're not. A lot of it, like I said, was like in the beginning of the live, a lot of it had to do with the expert, like what his past expertise was in. A lot of it was different articles from the Moscow Police Department when they would do their like daily recaps. But they did say that there was 70% of like the general population of Latah County believes that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. So I don't know if we have that to compare that to. I'm gonna have to look into that, I guess, because we have nothing to really look at. You know what I mean? We don't have nothing to compare it to. So we'll have to look at maybe we'll find another case that they've used the surveys and they've come to help them out. We'll see if it's worked to the benefit of the defense or not. I mean, try as you may, try as you might. What is it? Try as you might, try as you might. I don't think you're going to go anywhere there, Kohberger. I think that you probably could be comfortable, get comfortable there. I think you're going to be there for a long time. At least, like Nancy said, you got 3 hots in a cot. You get your vegan meals. You get your vegan sheets. I'm sure they're vegan sheets. Vegan pillowcase. Vegan pillow. He is getting love letters. Very, very strange. Yeah, there was a secret chat, and I was in it. And then they opened it up, I guess. I think it's like an open chat now, but it was on Reddit. And so the first one, they got shut down. And then the second one, they came back and they spelled Bryan's name wrong on purpose. That way, that one wouldn't get shut down right away. Very weird. They'd have like little hearts around his face. There was a girl, remember last year? Or remember it was like, well, probably a year and a half ago now, but they were putting money on Kohberger's books. There was one girl that said something like, oh, I just don't have like money to eat lunch for the week, but here's $100 for Bryan. Like, really, like, it was something like that. Like, but I'll go without. Like, what? What is wrong with y'all? Don't ever do that. You know? But yeah, I think that they're gonna want to drag it out as long as they can. What, to court? Oh no, he went in wearing full clothes. He had on socks, tennis shoes, shorts, boxers, t-shirt, and a sweater on to boot. He was ready to duck it up out of there. He was anytime. You know, he had the shoes on in the house. My mom would have, you better not have your shoes up in my mama's house on your feet. Oh gosh, no, I didn't see that. What's up with all the crazy people coming in and out of Idaho? Like, I saw that he was in Idaho too. And then there was a couple other documents that came out, but they were just order sealing. So we won't hear nothing until the next court date. As far as I know. Also, you're not probably watching this because it's not about Sebastian, but can someone tell Seth Rogers if his opening video for his new opening video thingy, like his little, intro for his channel, he should add Sebastian's flyer in there. He's showcasing a bunch of missing kids from Tennessee, except for the one he should be looking for the most. There's no Sebastian on there. So I was just like, okay. Okay. I think the house is too nice to be selling drugs out of. The people, like, you know what I mean? That would have been too prime real estate. I feel like, nah, I don't know. I feel like they would have them just come in. They would have it like shipped to them, have people bring it to them if they wanted it. But I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even think that he was going to be there to begin with, badgered witness. I didn't believe that for a second. Betty tried to plant evidence, I should say. Allegedly. She did. And the Gabby Petito case, so right then and there, that told me that Joe was not going to be on Seth's channel. After we got off the live last night, I sat here, I thought about it for a minute, and I said, wait a minute. Ain't going to be on there, so, Oh, well, shit. Sorry, karma. Hope everything's okay. But don't mess with my girl. Don't even mess with my girl. Are you okay, Mary Beth? I'm worried about Mary Beth. Yeah, Austin, he wasn't going to do that. He was not going to do that. Why would Joe Petito do that? Why would he need to, I mean, like, not to say that Joe's not going to help families in need, but Joe, their cases are not even they're not even in the same realm of what? Gabby Petito's case is a brutal homicide that happened at the hands of her boyfriend, fiance. Then he hit her. Then he ran home to mom and pops, and then he hid from the cops. What does any of that have anything to do with a 15-year-old boy that's missing from Hendersonville that has autism? Not even adjacent. Yeah. It made no damn sense to me neither, badger witness. That's why I was like, that ain't going to happen. And plus, Betty, hello, do you not remember what you did in his case for his daughter's case? You think he ain't going to remember the lady with the loud bullhorn that was outside of the Petitos or the Laundry's home? That's the first time I ever laid eyes was on Betty. She was in front of the Petito's house, and I'm not even kidding y'all. Her and JLR. I did see that they do have, they have a USB that they're handing over, which would probably be, I don't know, redundant, but hopefully it has something good on there. But I don't think we'll find out. I think that they said something about that, like they won't be telling us. That'll be all redacted in the court proceedings. So unfortunately, I think Betty tried to pretend like she set something up, but she can't set up herself to get out of a wet paper bag. She can't set up an appointment to get her hair done, let alone get these two men together. You know what I mean? Because think about it, right? Where would Joe meet Seth Rogers? Did Joe just out of the goodness of his heart say, I saw that guy with that one YouTube video up of his son that's missing. I'm going to get a hold of him. There's no convention for them to meet at. They didn't go to Crime Con. There was none of that. Very weird. Very weird. Oh, the USB was the defense is giving the prosecution, or the defense wants it redacted. Just order the exhibiting, the sealing of that exhibit, and it's just I said it was a USB drive. Let me see if I can find it. It just says right here, the portions of the exhibit to be sealed are contained in the USB flash drive that was hand delivered on 7/22 with a copy of defendant's witness and exhibit list, and we've read through those. And those were the 4 witnesses that he was going to call forward. And then they have maybe 10 exhibits they're going to show, which she did that before with her pictures and stuff. So, and can someone can we all just pitch in money to get Tony Phony Baloney another green shirt? I hate that ugly ass color green on him. I hate that shirt, that golf shirt or whatever it is. It's just, he wears it every time. Every time. Every time. We know we're cool. Can Seth maybe give him a shirt? Maybe Seth can give him a shirt. Yeah. Me and mom is a PHP fan. Yeah, no, my mom would be like, who is this woman? I don't even know my mom. I don't even know if I would let my mama hear her voice. Oh, I remember all that. Isn't that sometimes we forget things. And then they reared their ugly head again in Quentin Simon's case. Baby crying. I mean, a woman couldn't even go to be with our Lord and Savior if that's where she was heading. She was on her hospice bed, but she was trying to go see someone. Wasn't Betty. She was trying to go see. Wasn't Betty. Was someone, and she had to end up, I think the lady ended up leaving her home and going into hospice. We buy replacement. That's too big. We could get that could be like a onesie. Hey, pretty K. Hey, Wizard Walt. Welcome in. We're getting ready to get off here now. Guys will have to go back. But yeah, I'm just those are my things I was pointing out for the night. I was just like, oh man. I saw a little bit of Betty's live today about rambling on about people calling and telling Joseph. Nobody did that. Prove that, Betty. Prove that. And I'm talking, I want a video from Joe. I don't want none of this. I found this water bottle. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing any of that. We're not going backwards. Mary Beth, are you okay? There's Mary Beth right there. There, Mary Beth. Thank you for gifting a membership. Thank you. Last night I was on here for 20 minutes. I was like, where's Mary Beth? I was like, I'm not getting off here. We were just going to get off, and then we just sit here for a minute. And then we were all like, okay, we're going to get off here. And then we're like, no. It was like, I was thinking of you and you were there. I think Seth's biggest mistake was fooling. Yes. Why would Seth even want to be around with Tony is beyond me. Yeah, Ashley, what is it? I think that he should have just stayed by himself. You know what I mean? Or with, other like-minded people that people probably would have went out and helped him. They were helping him until Tony showed up. Oh, You got is that your first egg? Or is that your first egg with your newest chicken? Oh my gosh. That's probably like really cool. How does that really happen? I don't even want to know. You're going to have to email me. I don't even know how that works. My brother has chickens. I'm not a farmer. Okay. I'm not a farming kind of gal. Me and my brother are polar opposites when it comes to that. My brother lives in the city and he has chickens at his house and his backyard. And the coolest part about it is there's a rooster across the street. Don't know how he got so lucky to team up with the rooster, but he's got a rooster across the street and he's got the hen. I don't even know. And then I'm over here, like, I don't like, my brother has like a little goat family and he used to have horses. He used to have a big farm. Me, I'm cool with my dogs and they're too big. Like my one dog knocks me over half the time. That's really cool that you got like you got your first egg. I guess I was gonna say you had your first egg, but I guess you didn't lay that thing. Good. What's her name? Hennifer. Hennifer, you did so good. Go Hennifer. I was like, you didn't lay that egg. That chicken died. She'll be out there with the phone. No, I'll be going, go Hennifer. Maybe she'll get another egg. Chickens are cute, but see, I'm not a big farm animal person around me, though. I don't like them around me. I don't even like horses around me. I got bucked off one when I was a kid. My best friend rode them, and she was great at it, and she could do all of the little tricks. I don't know what you call it, but I'm sure her parents spent lots of money for her to learn those things. But I was not that person. I was also I'll get like a stray dog in the neighborhood and bring that dog home. That was me. I don't like things that outweigh me. Or actually, and I guess chickens don't really outweigh me, but they're just scary kind of sometimes. They could peck at you. Being blind has a lot to do with it. I'm not good with bugs either. You guys should see me around bugs at night. It's hilarious. I'm like, hands are flying. That's so funny. That is funny. Your rooster's a pound? Is that a big, pretty like hefty size? I feel like that would be. I mean, my cat weighs like a good 15 pounds. He's fat. They can be mean, can't they? I don't mind. He said, so I don't mind eating them. Speaking of which, maybe we'll have chicken tomorrow. Just kidding. We might, though. We might, but not Ashley's chicken. Ashley's chicken's on egg duty. I guess it just sits on the egg now after it hatches the egg. How big is the egg when it first comes out? My friend had chickens. His grandmother did right behind him, and she'd always be bringing him eggs, but they were always just like regular, like brown eggs. I can't stand bugs, Joe. I can't stand bugs. I hate bugs. There's not a lot of things I hate, but I hate bugs. I hate any kind of bugs. You took the egg, you gotta let it sit on the egg. Don't eat. Oh, because you don't want another chicken. Wait, is that how chickens are made? You guys are going to teach me a thing tonight. So wait, hold on. Because I'm going from bugs back to the chickens. If you leave the chicken with the egg, right? You guys are going to think I'm going to have to look this up. This is so bad. I'm like, this is embarrassing. If the chicken continues to lay on the egg, will the egg just hatch out like it's a baby? Like, will it turn into a baby chicken there? So so everyone else wants to know too? I'm not the only one. Like, if you have a pet, we don't have enough room to have like a chicken hatch. And plus, it's probably way too hot for them here and there. Are they pets? They could be. That's cute. No, the rooster has to fertilize it. Okay. Thanks, Ashley. See, I don't know. Okay. Now my mind's going. Now I'm working right. Okay. Now I feel like my brain can work and it could process the thoughts now. Because I'm just like, what's going on? What do you do with the egg? Like, if it's just, I wasn't sure, Hey, you'll never have your questions answered if you never ask them. And I bet you there's someone else in this chat that did not know the answer to how that was done. But that's pretty cool. Now I kind of want a chicken. Just a chicken, though, not a rooster, too. Well, no, because then your chicken needs a rooster sometimes, right? Just every once in a while, at least. Yeah, no Sebastian updates. Just the Seth did a video and it's basically a snippet of Sebastian at SeaWorld when he was a little boy, maybe like 5. And then they talk. I don't know what they talk about. I didn't listen. I didn't listen. But then him and Tony talk, so for like a minute. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks, Cheryl, for asking. It's killing me. It's not really killing me. It's like killing me though. It's like I don't know what's wrong with it, so I don't know. It's numb. I can't walk on it. And I just don't know what's wrong with it. I hope that I find out on Monday. I hope they take an X, but that's the downside. Okay. If they take an X-ray Monday and I find out Monday, more than likely I'm going to have surgery, right? Because I'm going to a surgeon. I'm going to have them look at my foot. So last week, well, okay, so on my toes, I do have certain spots that are very sensitive, and the doctor has been digging out parts of my foot, like on my toe. I know it sounds really bad, but just like a little spot. And it's the way that I walk because of me having to learn. I had to relearn how to walk, y'all. So when I learned how to re-walk with the metal rods, my legs just go inward and my arches are higher. So I thought it was just like my toe, but I woke up last Thursday and my foot felt like it was asleep, just my foot. And I'm like, that's kind of weird feeling. And I couldn't wake it up. And ever since then, I haven't been able to walk on it. So I thought maybe it was like something with my toes, like where they were cutting those things out, but that's not where it's like literally underneath my foot. Like, isn't that weird? I didn't see that. No. Squeaky wheel, that would be, oh my gosh. That would, but it could be like something like, I don't know. See, neuropathy, like if I'm losing foot pain, if I'm losing foot feeling, I'll be on Monday to cry with you guys. We'll be crying together. You cry, I cry, we all cry together. Yeah. That'd be terrible. That's the worst news. You know what I mean? Because then because I can't walk on it right now. Yeah, I know, Gene. I called them and they said they'll see me on Monday morning. She can't feel her feet at all. Gosh, man, Ashley, you're making me. Oh, you're giving me the. I never thought of this happening. I never thought about not. Yeah, I didn't almost lose these things, right? To rework, to almost lose these again during surgery, to have to learn how to walk, to then lose them 10 years later, or like not have any feeling. Shoot, we ain't doing that. No, but I've got me a wheelchair if I need one, Otto. I don't have crutches, but I do have a wheelchair. So like it's numb. It's hard to explain it, but I can still feel like the ball of my foot a little bit. It's not to where I'm going to fall or anything. I just can't really put pants on standing up anymore right now. The fun stuff, the easy stuff. So, but we'll find out. I mean, I'll find out on Monday. And if I come on and I'm really sad, you'll know. You'll know. Exactly. Thank you, Austin. I did my part. Now it's time to do their part. Though, and he's getting ready to leave, and he's my surgeon. So I'm kind of glad that I'm going to see him one more time before he like just leaves. I don't think I could do. I wouldn't want to leave my work and somebody and just be like, you're off in your own world now. And if you ever need somebody, you got to go find a new doctor now. I don't like that. Thank you, PJs. I appreciate that. Thanks for the prayers, guys. I think that if anything, we'll just have to do some physical therapy and maybe do some shock therapy again. Because we did shock therapy too, for me to keep my feet from dropping. Because them bad boys were going to try to drop on me too. My legs were trying to get my legs were trying to run away from my body, and I was like, get back here, get back here. So, but thanks for asking, Cheryl. I appreciate it because I've been over here like touching it like all night, like can't feel that. It feels so weird. It's a weird feeling. I'm hoping that we find out Monday. I'm hoping that he says there's that your screw, like it's nothing serious, but like maybe a screw just kind of unscrewed a little bit, and that's what I'm feeling, like maybe something pressure onto a nerve. That's my that's what I'm hoping for. I'm just hoping I find an answer, man, y'all, because every time I go to the doctor, I end up leaving with more questions than I have answers, I feel like. So, oh, you guys are okay. Thank you, though. That's what happened to you, Norma. Well, at least I have a bunch of people that have been through it that can help me. That can help me through it, because emotionally, that could wreck someone, Like, I'm glad that I have you guys to help me so I don't get, because I will. I'll panic. Don't let me panic. Yeah, like you would think that there wouldn't be, I just wouldn't wake up one day and my foot would be numb, like completely numb. You know what I mean? Like where it wouldn't come back. But that's what I want a scooter so bad, Cheryl. I've been telling Vincent, one of those little knee scooters so I can slide around the house. I'm itching to walk and like I can't. I know. I've been just sliding it around a little. Like I haven't really been walking on it too much. Just been in the house. I haven't even left really, other than when I went to Target and I'm like on the cart, like with my foot. But I find out on Monday. So, and then tomorrow I'm supposed to go to the dentist. I have to go tell Vincent because I forgot to tell him earlier. We have one car right now. So surprise, I need to go to the dentist. But yeah, tomorrow I think they're doing my crowns. So finally getting back up there to get all this stuff done. And it's just going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day tomorrow. I have a good feeling. Actually, son of a bitch. I just thought of something. I have to walk literally like a mile to a mile and a quarter to my dentist from where I park. Okay, we're going to have to get out the old wheelchair. They're going to think I hurt myself. And I'm like, I just needed to get around faster. But thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it so much. Is Mary Beth still in here? I don't know if I know her email by heart. Let me see. I'm going to put it in here. Oh, okay. You sent me one? Okay. Okay. I don't think I have Otto's email though. Hey, Otto, will you email me and then I'll switch you guys back. And then if you do want to put your email in the chat, just do it like if this was my email, I would just do it like that. And then do maybe like at like that. Like that's not really my email because it's titaniumbuiltboo@gmail.com. But I was just saying like, in general. Like Ashley's doing hers. Because you did yours perfect last night, Ashley. I was like, that's how you do it. Ashley's smart. She got it pretty quick. It's just a lot easier. And then that way so that way you can share the link and it won't boot you, like kick you out. We're beating the system. But thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'll be back on tomorrow evening sometime. Yeah, because tomorrow I'm going to go to the doctor at 1. So I'll be on tomorrow evening and I will see you guys all then. Have a wonderful Friday. Bye, guys.